A woman attempted to burn down Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth home. Look at your life. Atlanta police have arrested Laneisha Shantrice Henderson for attempting to burn down Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth home yesterday evening. She's been charged with criminal attempt arson, criminal attempt interference with government property, the two-story house where Dr. King spent the first 12 years of his life. Because King's home is federal property, Henderson could face further charges here. One of the tourists on the scene, Zach Kemp, told the New York Times he initially thought the woman was watering shrubs in front of the house before she rushed up the stairs and pulled on the front screen door. She did not respond when they asked what she was doing, emptying the contents of a 5-gallon container before tossing it into the bushes and grabbing a lighter she had left on the grass, he said. Mr. Kemp said the woman had a nervous energy, but was not aggressive and walked away after he physically blocked her path. It was he who called 911, shouted for help to the two off-duty New York officers who chased down the suspect and restrained her until local police arrived. And a fire department battalion chief, Jerry DeBerry, said, had the witnesses not intervened, the house could have been burned to the ground in just moments. Could have been a matter of seconds before the house was engulfed in flames, DeBerry said. See the tape down there? Give you more information on Henderson. 26-year-old woman's father and 3 sisters who arrived on the scene later described her as a veteran in mental distress. Mr. Kemp told The Times the accused was receiving a mental health evaluation before being transferred to the local jail, police said on Thursday night. King Center released the following statement. Tonight, an unfortunate incident occurred at the birth home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as an individual attempted to set fire to this historic property. Fortunately, the attempt was unsuccessful thanks to the brave intervention of good Samaritans and the quick response of law enforcement. We thank the Atlanta Police Department, Atlanta Fire Department, the National Park Service, and Mayor Andre Dickens for leading the efforts to ensure the safety of our cherished national landmark and its adjacent neighbors. Our prayers are with the individual who allegedly committed this criminal act. Obviously, Ray, this young woman, according to her own family, in the middle of a mental health episode, if you will. And that's important to note. But when I began with America, look at your life, look at the climate that we're currently in. Could very well have been born out of something else, if you will. Your reaction?
Yeah, obviously, when I first saw this story and I was reading through the article, when I got to the name and the photo of the woman who's been arrested in relation to the incident, and I saw there's a video of her putting the gasoline on the porch, I was surprised because it wasn't what I expected given the headline that I read. Which I think is exactly the point you're making, that my immediate reaction was, this must have been a white supremacist trying to erase the history and the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. But there's also, as you mentioned, it's important to point out that she was having a mental health episode, and her family also mentioned that she is a veteran, because I think that goes a long way to show the lack of resources that there are for veterans in this country. I mean, and if not for these interveners, these tourists who just happened to be there blocking her from doing it, we could have lost this monumental part of history. And that would have been absolutely devastating. And the estate of Martin Luther King Jr. said in that message that they're praying for her. And I think that's also important to highlight, that they want this person to get the resources that she needs so that things like this don't happen in the future. Because if any of the circumstances had been changed just a little bit, if there hadn't been these individuals there to stop her, the house would have burned down, as they mentioned, in a matter of moments, considering the amount of gasoline that she had already doused the house in. So this is a person who evidently has been failed by the system, and just as we see with so many veterans who, as it's pitched to them, they sacrifice for this country, they leave the services, and then what do they get? severely underfunded assistance, poor medical care, lack of training to be reintegrated into society as a civilian. And that seems like these things failed this woman so severely that she acted in this manner, not to excuse it, but just to give maybe some context as to how it happened in the first place.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that it was proper and decent for the King Center to also point out that these are good Samaritans. Notice there was no overkill. And they seem to be forthcoming in their statements that there was not real resistance here. Something seemed to be going on. And to those who would say, well, wait, if this woman, instead of a lighter and gasoline, had a gun, would the same individuals on the same, perhaps, side of the aisle, I mean, Martin Luther King and the King Center is about nonviolence and social justice for all, but would the same individuals quickly just say, oh, nothing to see here, unfortunate incident, and yeah, mental health episode?
There's
Yeah.
especially considering that, it's hard to consider, especially when, this is a veteran. She probably does have access to weapons. So, I'm not I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure, to be honest.
it stumped me too. I know people are already bringing that up, hypocrisy or whatever. I think that it's best to look at things like this in a truthful manner. We do know the facts here. I believe we do know the facts. And it is an unfortunate incident. And the best news we heard was that it wasn't, we don't believe, preliminarily, the investigation, though, seems to have gone pretty far. We don't believe this is an act of anything but someone who's in the middle of something that needs assistance. We'll keep following it.